and your team. I'll first say that, Galamsey is literally keeping me up at night because I had to get up like 3 a.m. US time, and I've not had enough good sleep, but I deem it so important to stay up for this. And that is because, someone will be saying, or someone has told me before that, Juliet, you are US based. Why are you talking about Galamsey? And I want to educate people that even the diaspora, we are not spared from the effects of Galamsey. Why do I say so? Majority of us, and if you're a picky eater like me, and although I've been in the US for about 10 years, I still eat Ghanaian food. And so I go to the African market, I buy yam, I buy some of my groceries from there. And I was talking to a friend who works at Ghana Standards Board recently, and she told me that they tested yams being exported and it had high levels of heavy metals. So if you are in this, a call to those in diaspora who think that the Galamsey is only happening in Ghana, the effects of Galamsey are coming to our doorstep, even in the US.
That's a reviewing perspective.
And so I want to use this platform to highlight that. So let alone if you are in Accra and you think Galamsey is happening in Western or Ashanti region, for you, the effects are even more prevalent than those of us here. But I wanted to use this to highlight that even those of us in the US who still patronize Ghanaian food in our African markets are not spared from the effects of Galamsey. And I have someone from Ghana Standards Board who has tested and can confirm that levels of heavy metals in yams and other food staples being exported are being affected. And now to also another aspect of the issue that I want to use this opportunity to highlight is I'm an environmental engineer, so I feel it's important to use such opportunities to educate people. And one of the things that I want to highlight is, something in earlier you were talking about the turbidity levels, right? That going to the Ghana water company or that they have to treat. Now, in the water treatment process, there are mainly 5 main steps. The first step is what we call coagulation. Coagulation is where you add a certain chemical, typically, for example, alum, and what it's going to do is it's going to cause all the small particles that actually cause the turbidity to, begin to clump together. Okay, and then there is the next step is the flocculation step, where they come together and form flocks or heavy substances that can then settle in a sedimentation. So when the settling happens, that is where you see clear water, right? That's where, the muddiness goes away and you see clear water at the top. Then the next step is what we call disinfection and filtration. So disinfection, you are adding, let's say, chlorine or other chemicals to kill pathogens such as bacteria or viruses. And then the last step, you do filtration to remove any residual particle to make sure that the water is clear and goes. All these processes that I described right now, none of them removes heavy metals. And that is something that I want to highlight, that the typical water treatment process does not include removal of heavy metals. In actual sense, any water source that is polluted with heavy metals, it's typically not supposed to be used as drinking water source. So a case in point in the US, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Flint, Michigan issue, where they changed the water source to, a different water source that had lead poisoning because it was cheaper, in quotes. Now, all those people who were involved in that had to face, legal consequences. So the main thing I want to highlight that this issue is bigger than the muddy waters we are seeing, because the muddy waters we can, let's say, with a treatment process, we remove the muddy side or the muddy side or the turbidity, but then there is still residual heavy metals concentration that is not removed by the water treatment process. And to be able to remove that, we will need to add an additional process unit to remove heavy metals. Now that almost will be ×5 the cost of water that people are having. So in effect, we've heard that we could be importing water. It's either we are importing water or we could be paying 5 to 10 times the water that we have to use. And that's because we have to add additional treatment process to it. So from a technical point, that is, for me, I think it's not many people will talk about this aspect of the issue, and so I find it's important to add that voice to it. And then education. Araba mentioned education, and I want to use this point to also highlight a few things I've picked from comments that I've seen online. Someone said, oh, the waters are so dirty, I'm going to have my borehole. Well, borehole connects to surface water. There is what we call water cycle. So having a borehole in your house does not make you immune to the effects of the heavy metals that will percolate or move through the soil to contaminate your water. So that's one form of education I also want to put out there.
Great.
And then I was even talking to my sister-in-law, and she was, the water coming from her tap is not so clear. And she said, oh, Julie, I'm going to get chlorine tablets to put in my water. And I told her that chlorine tablet does not remove any of those things. Chlorine tablet does not even remove the muddiness. Chlorine tablets will disinfect. It will only remove bacteria and all of that. But the consequences of Galamsey is not bacteria pollutants we are talking about. We are talking about heavy metals pollutants. So from my perspective as an engineer and as an environmental engineer, those are the key things that I want to highlight on this platform. And going forward, what do I look for, or what do I need, or what solution? One of the things I want to see. We know it's an election year, and I think it's an opportune time for all of us to demand for the right things to be done. Some of us have been talking about Galamsey, since 2017. And so I want the organized labor to know that they shouldn't back down. They shouldn't back down because there has been enough time. From 2017, some of us have been talking about this. And so moving forward, for me, my interest is in the two front runners. We have former President John Dramani Mahama. He can't say that he has not seen the Galamsey issue going on.
Right.
And then we have Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He can't say that he has not seen what is going on. We need strong statements from them showing or demonstrating their commitment to fight this menace. We need them to let Ghanaians know that they'll repeal the LI 2462 and also they'll commit to land and water reclamation.
Right.
And also, in concluding, I'll say that, yes, it's an election year. They're afraid of losing an election, but I want them to know that well-meaning Ghanaians who are against illegal mining are more than the few Ghanaians who are for illegal mining. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much.
Right.
That's the Dr. Juliet Ohemeng-Ntiamoah.